me. My name is Carty. Graduated in 2000. I work with a family business. We own a general contracting company. I'm Vice President of Business Development. Played water polo here for 4 years, and then I actually coached here for 7 years as well. And my elevator pitch, per se, might differ from some people, but what I try to do is, in my opinion, everything is energy. And if you have a good energy about you and a positive attitude, that radiates off you and it makes people attracted to you. Not attracted to you looking, but attracted to you and wanting to talk to you, wanting to, be around you. Everybody here has that one person. Once they get to that party, then the party starts happening. And that's the person that you want to be in that elevator. But what I try to do is I try to take the focus off of me and try to ask as many questions as I can about the person that I'm trying to pitch or talk to. And what you want to do is you want to ask open-ended questions. You don't want to ask questions that have one-word answers, a yes or a no. And it's cold out today. Yeah. You want to ask questions, where are you from? Tell me about that. Oh, how's that living there? That's cold, isn't it? Open-ended questions so that you can get an idea on how to read that particular person. And then from there, you can, once it's your turn to actually talk, then you could find a story within yourself to relate to that person. Because what you're really trying to do is you're trying to build a rapport with people. You're never going to make a sale in 30 seconds. You're never going to make a sale in 90 seconds. You're trying to build a relationship. And that's really what a sale or any kind of networking is. You're trying to build rapport with people. And so you try to find a story within yourself that's going to relate to theirs so that they have some sort of connection with you. And when you tell that story, you want to be as colorful as possible, not what they say black and white. Yeah, I saw them in concert too. It was awesome. That's black and white. You want to, give it descriptive, be the lighting or the music or the people that were there. Just paint a picture for people, give them vision. And then, you go from there, and then you just kind of communicate back and forth. But the biggest thing, in my opinion, is you need to listen. Ask yourself, and you could do this throughout your day, am I listening or am I just waiting to talk? Because if you really listen to people, you could ask the right questions, and really and truly, what do people like? They like to talk about themselves. The more they talk about themselves, and the more you listen, the more you learn about them, the more questions you could ask, the better rapport you have. They're going to walk out of that elevator, I like that guy, or I like that person. The next time it comes around for them to be in your line of business or your line of work, they're going to think of you. So that's what I do. But I do a lot of reading of people, and so I don't know. That's how I go.
Thank you.
Is that good enough for you?
Was that good enough?
Well, you know what? One other thing I will say is having a liberal arts education has helped me a lot with that, because you get, in a liberal arts school, you get a lot of walks of life, and you meet a lot of different people, you take a lot of different classes, and so you get a good broad education. And so when you ask people certain questions, they might give you answers that you might actually know. So it really has helped me a lot, and I wouldn't trade my education for anything, and I would match my education with anybody's too. The end.
Dee, I'm Rebecca
I didn't
Bell.
stand.
Would you like to? We all do our elevator pitches differently. It's okay. I agree with CJ. You are, and we're probably going to talk about this later, but you are going to change what you say to people to introduce yourself based on who they are, and in order to do that, you need to ask them questions about themselves. So on that note, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself so that later on you can ask me about myself, and then you can do your elevator pitch a little bit better. I graduated from Whittier College in 2006. My current position is at the Whittier Chamber of Commerce as the Director of Public Relations. What that is, my job is really split into two parts. There's a communications part of it, which means I deal with the Whittier Daily News, all of our press people. We We do a publication each month. We have an e-newsletter that we send out. So lots of writing, lots of communicating, anything that has to do with the public and getting our voice out to the public. That's what I handle. The other half of my job is our fundraising events, our major event planning. We do huge events like golf tournaments and business expos with thousands of people. Again, anything public oriented, that's what I do. So from that end, lots of fundraising, lots of phone calling, lots of making campaigns to make sure that we meet our budget goals. All those types of skills, and a lot of those I learned from Whittier College, are taken into play. The Chamber as a whole, where I fit into the Chamber as a whole, we're a business assistance organization. We provide the marketing and the networking tools that businesses need to help get their name out, to market themselves. So a lot of what we're going to be doing tonight, we're going to teach you how to network. What you would then take with that is go to a Whittier Chamber sponsored event and use those skills to market your business. So we provide the opportunity for businesses to market themselves.
So I have to follow that. I won't stand up. As you can see, I'm very tall. My name is Jeff Ball, and I got my master's here at Whittier in 1989. And I am the founder and president of Friendly Hills Bank, which is a community bank here in town. And I opened that bank because at one time we used to have several independent banks that were here in Whittier, and they all got gobbled up by the big banks. So people that chose to bank at a little bank where you can get better service and more attention, all of a sudden found themselves in a larger bank, which wasn't what they originally chose. So we felt it was important and a big opportunity to provide an alternative for those people to come back to a little bank. And that's why I opened Friendly Hills Bank. We have all the services that a large bank provides. We have online banking, we have ATM cards, we provide lines of credit, do all those different things. But we do it in a different way, in a more personalized way. So when my customers walk into the bank, they're greeted by name. When you call on the telephone, somebody actually answers. You don't get sent to an answering center in a foreign country. And we take a lot of pride in the service that we offer. And particularly in a time right now where there's a lot of financial uncertainty with big banks cutting lines of credit, taking away credit, or not offering credit, we've been very consistent. Every customer that's come to our bank has stayed with our bank. We haven't lost a single customer, except for the poor guy that died last week, but we won't. but we have all of our customers have stayed, and that's something that we take tremendous pride in. To follow on what CJ and Rebecca said, I also went to a liberal arts college for my undergraduate, and I find that that degree is extremely valuable, and I also look for those types of students when I'm hiring, because when you come out of a liberal arts college, you have the ability to do a lot of basic things that students coming out of a big college may not have as much experience with. You get to interact with your professors, so that means you have more opportunity for high-level dialogue, which means you're going to be more comfortable when that client with a problem comes walking into the bank. It means that you have the ability to write and express yourself in words, which is often important, particularly in this day and age where we use email so much. Email is a one-dimensional form of communication. So if you're not effective with it, then you may not get the message out that you want. And most importantly, it's the ability to communicate verbally, to be able to walk into a room situation, to draw attention, and in a positive way, be able to represent yourself and the organization. My people, like Rebecca is here, as she sits here, she's representing the chamber, not just Rebecca, not just Whittier College. And I'm sitting here, I'm representing my bank. I am your first impression to my bank. My employees are the same way. And so that's a very important quality that we look for. And just so happens that you typically find that quality in a student that comes out of a liberal arts college like Whittier. So you're doing the right thing by being here, and particularly in participating tonight. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much, President. Hi, I'm Adrienne Cisneros. I'm a class of '81, and I was a business administration major. I also got a political scholarship, and I was able to study in Washington, D.C. I was also being asked to change change my major to biology. My botany professor wanted me to change my major, and I said, no, I want to get out of here in 4 years and do something and make money. I actually ended up being a teacher's assistant in botany. So that is what a liberal education can do for you. And I'm telling you, that has helped me understand, as you will see when I finish my little speech here, how diverse and how wonderful liberal arts education can be. It is absolutely one of the most fantastic backgrounds you can have. Right now, I assist small businesses, especially Latina-owned businesses, market and capture millions of dollars of federal contracts. Okay, and I have been specializing in that because I worked at the U.S. Department of Energy and I managed the small business office. I worked with service-disabled, minority-owned, women-owned, HubZone, which is like tribally owned type companies, and help them position themselves to go after the Department of Energy's $1 million market. I think that I have had a great experience since the world is going green now, as you all know. There's a lot of opportunity and a lot of funds. Were you aware that the federal government purchases $440 billion of goods and services a year? And what they do is they give you contracts, okay? And you will provide goods and services. Because of the stimulus package the new president has put out, there is billions more on top of that $440 billion that is going to be allocated to federal governments, agencies. And if you're a small business person and you would like a crack at that, this is the time to start thinking about your own business and these agencies that are looking for special requirements that you may be able to service. The other thing I would ask is if you're interested in this federal market is please let me know. I would like to talk to you.
Okay, so did you get a little flavor for what motivates them and the passion that they bring to their own lives, and it flows over into their careers because they happen to all be very high energy people. I like that, what you said about the energy thing, because we do read people very quickly, don't we? It just, in a matter of a few seconds, you have an impression of someone. But this is something that you can learn and improve on if you feel like that doesn't apply to you at this point in your life. It is definitely something that is trainable, and all of you have what it takes inside. We're just here to help you kind of bring it to the surface, and by the time, like I know we have some fresh people here, some freshmen, and I know that by the time they leave in 4 years, they're going to be much more highly developed in terms of articulating their value than you might feel today as an 18-year-old. And how many people in here are seniors? Okay, so these seniors are already kind of the products of Whittier College, so we're just polishing. We're just polishing at this point, right? So I wanted to let you have a little bit of time right now to actually put together some thoughts on an elevator speech. Keep in mind, this doesn't have to be as long as these people spoke because they were trying to illuminate you more. But it does require a little bit of thought about what it is that you would like anyone to know about you. So think, what is it that you want someone to know about you? And then, after you think that, I want you to think beyond that, because most people think in kind of trite phrases like, oh, I like people. I'm good with people. Okay, almost everybody's good with people. So, what about being good with people? I'm a good communicator. Well, that's fine, but it's better to demonstrate you're a good communicator by having something good to communicate. In here, yeah, that's just over here. These are just suggestions. If you have an idea, if you have anything that you've already kind of put together, that's fine. You can write it on the back, the whole thing together. You can fill in the lines. But I will want to hear it. We are all all going to hear it in some fashion, maybe not. We will not single you out and make you feel very self-conscious and stand in front of the group. But you will be saying this to somebody tonight, maybe a couple of times. So go ahead and make some notes to yourself. Sorry, we don't have clipboards for all. Oh, the other piece that I want to give you that I think will be helpful. Yeah, I know. We need more rock magazines. Yeah. Okay, this is actually another really helpful thing I'm going to give you. You all have this in common. You're either at the end of your liberal arts career here or you're just starting it. This is a great summary of what liberal arts is about. You can go shopping from this list and pick something that rings true for you and incorporate it into your speech. Maybe you're good at analyzing data. Maybe you're good at interpreting people. So this is there's front and back to it. Look it over. You can take one, friend. See if there's anything that you think, yes, that's true for me. I learned that. I know how to do that.
Linda, maybe in the meantime, the panelists could say a few words about when you're first starting to get a job, when you're first coming out of college, and you may not have, maybe your employment history is as a waiter or waitress, or maybe your employment history is in retail or something like that, which doesn't seem to be translatable into a professional skill. Maybe the panelists have some words about that. How do you market yourself with those skills? How do you look at what your work history is and sort of turn it around or modify it so that you're not lying, but you are presenting the skills that you've acquired?
One thing that I went to as a junior is I went to the college career fair that they had here at Whittier College. And again, there wasn't a lot of students. There was plenty, but it wasn't packed. And I got to know the IBM representative. And he got kind of upset because he spent like an hour with me, and then he found out I was a junior. I was like, oh, I had to be a senior. I came back the next year as the same representative, and then we got down to some business, and he helped me through a very competitive process in applying. Back in the 80s when the personal computers had not come out yet, and I started working for IBM in the marketing branch office 2 weeks after I graduated from college. And I think shortly after there, they introduced the personal computers, the PCs. And so it was absolutely fabulous time to be in the computer industry. And I would let some of you juniors know that look at the industry, see what's happening. I mean, right now, energy, going green, that's a big, that's a button right there. You want to look at the industry that you think there might be more opportunities. I mean, yes, if you want to be an artist or if you have special other skills, please do that. But if you're not sure, if you're in that group the way I was, the not sure group, look at the industry that is coming up. And, the jobs that were available when I got out of college, there's going to be all different types of jobs I don't even know of. And, we might not even know of yet that are going to be created because of our technology and, where our whole world is going right now. So just watch what the industries are doing. That's what I would say. And that really helped me. And the college career fair day was really successful for me.
Yes, nice plug. And we are going to have a green career panel in the spring, the day before Earth Day. We're going to have alums. Hopefully, if we can find enough people.
I think a couple of thoughts that come to mind relative to what you're asking. I think, first of all, it's important, particularly when you're going out to get that first real full-time job, focus on the positives and not the negatives. You're not going to be coming in with a lot of experience, certainly direct experience most likely for the position that you're applying for. So you have to really focus in on the things that you do have. You have the liberal arts education. You have in that work experience that you had, maybe if it seemed like a very remedial job, but there were elements of that you were able to demonstrate through responsibility, development of skills, and that type of thing. So number one is really focus on the positive side of the resume and what you have. Someone who's hiring for a certain position, interviewing somebody that's just coming out of college, they're not really expecting a whole lot of experience. If they were, they wouldn't be talking to you. So you really want to focus focus in on those things that you can make a differentiating factor with. And so if it was a job that you had even on campus, make sure that you really elevate it in a way that it shows you're responsible, that it shows that you have the ability to interact with people, depending on how you need to fit it with that job. The second thing that I wanted to point out, which is really a follow-on to your comment, is industry is always changing, and your interests are going to change. And one of the stories that I like to tell some of my employees is that I had a friend of mine when I was growing up whose father was an accountant. And all he wanted to do, from junior high through high school, all he talked about was being an accountant. And I ran into him about 10 years ago, and he's not an accountant. He went to college, he went to a large school, took only accounting courses, finished that, got a job at a big accounting firm. 2 weeks later decided it wasn't for him.
Wow.
And you know what? He had to stop and go back and get a whole new education in order to be able to prepare himself for what he ultimately wanted to do, which actually now he's a high school teacher. Okay? But what a transition. You're coming out of an education that would allow you to go either one of those directions. And your direction may shift, okay, as you're going through. You may start off. I took a job in a bank right out of college because I wanted to get to know what other businesses are like. I wanted to learn what a construction company is like, what a consulting business is like. And I figure I'll work a few years in banking and learn about those things and then decide what I want to do. I'm still trying to figure it out, okay? So don't limit yourself in terms of thinking that that first job is what you're going to be doing the rest of your life. Be willing to take jobs that are stepping stones, that will get you the experience you need, understanding you have the capacity of the liberal arts education that can take you most any direction, as opposed to somebody that's coming out of a more specialized school.
Okay. Oh, I just want to say, how many of you know how to network? Just hands. Or know what networking is? Okay. I just think it's really important because I was in Washington, D.C. and I was in politics. And networking, when you start now, you learn the skill of networking by being in different clubs, taking on some leadership roles, getting to know who's who and what's what, because that is a skill in itself, and that has helped me tremendously. And I have to be honest with you, I haven't looked for a job. There's only one time I looked for a job, and that was that job at IBM, because it was who I knew, and I've had 5 different careers. Worked for the largest public relations company in the world, Shannon McWeber. I was their VP of Media Relations. Went on and worked for 2 presidents of the United States, and one was International Trade Administration, the other was at U.S. Department of Energy. I got a call to work for the Atlanta Olympic Games, the 1996 Atlanta Olympic Games, setting the media celebrations, working with the media for the 7 western states. And it was because I worked well and I communicated with people. I let them know who I was. I wasn't shy, but I wasn't obnoxious. But I made friends. I made friends and let folks know that I'm a player. I want to, I was a community person. Get involved in your communities too. The chamber is a fabulous way. Of course, getting to know your banker is a very good way too. Don't be surprised, even if it's a club. Everybody should be involved in several clubs and try to network your way and get to know people, because you would be surprised who thinks of you later on in your future years. And I just have to say, it's I never had to go look for a job. They come looking for me. And after I just finished this last job in Washington, D.C., I had the elite recruiting company, Korn Ferry, come after me in May and ask me for my resume. I was like, no, it's always when I don't want it, but I went through a whole process for a very high position, and did not get it, but I wasn't looking, and it was nice to know the caliber of people and the recruiting companies that are out there. So that's the exercise that I learned, but I absolutely went through it, and it was great. So network, and if you don't know how to get involved in clubs and community and organizations.
I was, but I'll say something else now. It's okay. I think Adrienne brought up a really good point when she said you don't have to wait until you have a job in order to do any of those things. You can do those your freshman year, your sophomore year, your junior year, all throughout that time. In fact, it really behooves you to do so. And, how do you do that if you don't, I was blessed. I interned at the chamber all 4 years, so I really grew into that and was given that opportunity to learn those things. So if you're not in that position, which the majority of you will not, you'll be working at a restaurant like you had mentioned as the example or whatnot. That doesn't mean that there's no value in that job. One thing that I have learned since my freshman year up through today is, like Adrienne was saying, every single person that you meet has something to offer you, and it may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, it might be 5 years from now, but similar situations, I've never looked for a job. I've never looked for a job, I've never looked for an internship. They've always just kind of happened, and it's a really excellent situation to be, but you do have to work hard to be in that situation. Things that you can do right now in the job that you have, though, let's say you are a waitress and you do want to come up with your elevator pitch, but you're not quite sure what to say because you're a waitress. Everyone knows what a waitress does. You don't need to explain what they do. For any job that's basic like that, what I found to be successful for me is to find the most basic aspects of that job that are still valuable. So if you're a waitress, you probably deal with angry people a lot, and you probably develop skills that help you and help that person to have an enjoyable dining experience. That's something that might seem simple to you, but for an employer who's looking for someone to answer their phones or who's looking for someone to deal money like we were talking about earlier, that's really, really valuable for someone to be able to mediate a situation like that. So find the super, super, super basic things. Another example, if you're in a sorority, you probably plan events, which means you have to manage a budget. Again, not a lot of people can do that. There are very select few people that can manage a budget effectively. So break it down to the really basic things that whatever job you're applying for, you probably have to work with people, you probably have to work with a budget, you probably need computer skills, another thing that, it may seem very simple to you, but a lot of employers do not have people who can work on computers effectively. So think of the simple things and don't devalue them. They're extremely valuable, and you do have to be creative. You have to be creative in the way you present that, but that alone is a skill that they also need too. So start basic, don't devalue what you do at whatsoever, no matter what kind of job it is. It's valuable. The second advice that I would give is probably the most valuable thing that I have learned in my experience is to listen to the people around you. When I first started working at the chamber, I was so shy and so nervous. I had to work up confidence to pick up the phone. They give me a list of 50 people to call and remind them to come to an event or invite them or what have you. And I was so intimidated. I would have to work up the confidence to pick up the phone and call, even though they had written me a speech out and everything. It would take me 3 days to get through this list of 50 people because it took me 5 minutes to call them every single time. But what I did was I listened to the other people in the office, listened to how they handled people, listened to how they marketed different things, and then got more comfortable and just copied them. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can totally do that. Listen to other people. You've listened to us, you're going to listen to each other beforehand. I've listened to Adrienne in several instances, and I learned something from her every single time that I listened to her. So just listen and steal. It's totally okay. It's totally fine to say, I really liked that she used a number in her elevator pitch. I'm going to do that too. Totally fine. I suggest it, in fact. So listen, take your 4 years in your waitress position and listen to what people do. And you're going to know, oh, I really didn't like what that person said. That made me really turned off from them. And then you're going to know, don't say that. And then you're going to hear someone and say, hey, that sounds interesting. I really like the way that person spoke, or like the energy that person had. I want to be more like that person. And that way you'll figure out, you'll find a balance between what you like, what you don't like, what works, what doesn't work. And then pretty soon you'll be practicing that on your own, and people are going to be listening to you. So.
I agree. What you need to do is listen and steal what people say.
Yes.
Alright, I'm out of here.
Nice again.
I forgot everything I was going to say. I like what they were saying about networking. Huge, especially at this school, wicked strong alumni base here that is so tied to this school and loves this school and bleeds purple and gold that you can network with. Homecoming just passed, but I mean, get in touch with the alumni, and that's a great way to get your foot in the door somewhere. But if you're going after a certain job or a certain industry and you don't have that connection, what I would do is for resume purpose writing is take the sheet of paper, like a sheet of paper like this, and fold it right in half, like this. That's about as far down as the person that's reading your resume, as far as they're going to get. So what you need to do is you need to put in that top third section your statement or summary of qualifications or whatever for that particular job, and it needs to be your knock your socks off pitch of yourself. And then if you do get called in for that interview, and then that's when you really need to be kind of more on your game. But just a note that there was a study done at UCLA that 55% of what people take in when you're interviewing was the person's body language, 33% was the tone of the person's voice, 7% was what the actual words that were said. So it's so much on how you look, how you portray yourself, the way you talk. Do you present yourself well? Do you speak with command? Do people listen when you talk? People don't really listen to words too much. They listen to your body language, and that's what's really going to make people like you. And that's going to work with everything. Dating, relationships. It's true. It's true.
We can use the elevator pitch and
Absolutely.
That's another sheet of
Oh,
paper.
yeah, I'm like, I gotta take notes on that's how far it
We're not here to give you advice on that.
Or you could email me. No, we hear the first thing I say. Got it.
No, but it's a lot of the same principles. It's just a different avenue. But it comes back to the same thing because people are people. So.
Yeah, and isn't it still true that the first 15 seconds of an interview, that management person knows whether or not
You're in.
Yeah.
That's
And-
scary. That is
yeah.
scary.
And you know what? They don't, as much as like first
How much?
impressions
15
and how you
seconds.
look and stuff like that, shouldn't matter or whatever. You know what? Bottom line, it does. People judge. Not a good thing, but that's just the way it is. And so you gotta look good. You gotta look nice. You gotta present yourself well. Stand tall. Be proud of who you are.
Yeah, and again, networking, if somebody's made a call on your behalf and you're going in, you got the edge there, and you need that edge. It's very competitive out there. And when I went to DC and I didn't know a soul, the two people I met was Maramoto, what's his name? Mo Maramoto. My first dinner was with him at the Watergate Hotel, and my first lunch at the White House mess hall was with Paul Bateman, another Whittier person, and I did not know either of them. They were told by Martin Ortiz, he goes, look these people up, call them, Adrienne, and you do it. And those are referrals. That's what networking's about.